Call this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders to order. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father, help us to be receptive to the thoughts and challenges that come to us through prayer, through the printed page, and from the world around us, and help our leaders to find the best solutions to the problems that we face. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Also pursuant to the 2014 bylaws, rules, and regulations of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Burlington, time shall be set aside on the agenda for the receipt of public comments. Public comments will be received with respect to agenda items prior to board consideration of resolutions to be adopted. An additional opportunity for public comment will occur later in the meeting. Public comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Unused time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons may speak once per public comment period. I direct the Deputy Clerk to enter into the minutes of this meeting this public announcement and the advance written notice of this meeting. Freeholder Belva. Freeholder Donnelly.
Present.
Freeholder Howarth.
Present.
Freeholder Schwartz.
Here.
And Director Arter.
Present. At this time, is there a motion for the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 26, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Schwartz, seconded by Freeholder Howarth. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And at this time, is there a motion for the approval of the minutes of the conference meeting of February 26, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Donnelly, seconded by Freeholder Howarth. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At this time, we have a public hearing on bond ordinance number 2014-00060.
Of the County of Burlington, New Jersey, amending bond ordinance number 723-09 of the County of Burlington, New Jersey, finally adopted on November 12, 2009, and entitled Bond Ordinance of the County of Burlington, New Jersey, providing for the acquisition of automated recycling collection containers for the county recycling program, appropriating the sum of $4,565,000. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of up to $4,565,000 in general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the county to finance the same, making certain determinations and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing, increasing the appropriation to $7,065,000 and the Section 20 expenses to $615,000, and providing for the issuance of $7,065,000 in general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the county.
Okay, at this time, thank you. Mr. Drayton, at this time we open to public comment on this bond ordinance only. Please remember, if you care to comment, to state your name and address for the record. Okay. Seeing no one interested in commenting on this ordinance, we will close the public hearing at this time and call for a roll call vote.
Motion.
First the motion, then the roll call.
I move to adopt bond ordinance 2014-00060.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Freeholder Donnelly, seconded by Freeholder Howarth. Roll call.
Freeholder Donnelly?
Yes.
Freeholder Howarth?
Yes.
Freeholder Schwartz?
Yes.
Director Arter?
Yes. Okay. At this time, we move on to public comments on agenda items. Thank you. At this time, the public comment is limited to the agenda only. If you have a comment regarding something that is not on tonight's agenda, there's time for that later in the meeting. Mr. Milanis, I see you signed in. Is it for later? Okay, and Mr. Pipes? Mr. Pipes? Are you, later, okay. All right, is there any one from the public wishing to comment on tonight's agenda?
I would like to comment on something outside of the agenda.
We have another section for that.
All right,
Okay. All right, so seeing no one wishing to comment on the agenda, we will move to resolutions. At this time, I move for the adoption of resolutions 1 through 9 by unanimous consent.
Second.
I'd like to remove from, I'd like to move for further discussion, resolutions number 2, 5, and 6.
Second.
Okay. So the removal of 2, 5, and 6 has been moved by Freeholder Schwartz, seconded by Freeholder Donnelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and so we have a moving and seconding of 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9. So let's move ahead and vote those. Any discussion on the items remaining in the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain for number 3, yes to all the rest.
Okay. Okay, Freeholder Schwartz, resolution number 2.
Yes, could we have a discussion so the public can hear on item number 2, what we're awarding or rejecting?
Mr. Choi?
Yes, I can, Freeholder, I would have to do that. Number 2 has to do with our purchase of coal patch mix. It's done for the county as well as for co-op members. Basically, co-op members being other municipalities. The award for our particular contract went to American Asphalt, and as part of the bid, the co-op members actually got a lesser bid, which was kind of odd, and that was awarded to Wyoming, New Jersey. And 2013, we spent about $12,000, and considering the winter, we're probably going to spend a little bit more this year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 5, who are getting the 225 phones?
Nick?
Mr. Benke?
And is there a way to have less phones?
No, we're on a 20% replacement cycle.
Okay.
For the phones. So we buy approximately 225 a year, depending on the wear and tear of the system. That's actually the recommended cycle is 25%, but we tried to scale that back and keep that to a minimum. But we have 24/7 facilities like public safety, the jail, and
Okay.
they are heavily used, and we keep those replaced so the phones are working.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, I wanted to have some public clarification on that.
Jean is here.
And Jean is here.
Yes.
Thank you, Jean.
This is, for 20 years that I've been with the county, we use a private transportation system for some of our fugitive transports. Now, the close ones are done by our officers. We do approximately 300 a year, but 50 or so are farmed out, for lack of a better term, to a private transport company. We can do that much more cheaply, for lack of a better term. They have a company that goes around, they pick up inmates as they go throughout the country. They drive rather than fly, and because they're moving large numbers of inmates at one time, it's more cost efficient. When it's a high-risk type of fugitive, we send our officer detective down here now, and so we have to weigh the cost, but it's much more cost efficient to use this transport company. For instance, a minimum number would be $400. The smallest trip we would have, and that would be a probable distance, but the officers would still have to stay overnight. You have to get accommodations, you have to feed both the officers and inmates, and overtime costs, things like that. So we couldn't do that for $400. For the long trips, it's even more cost efficient. It might be close to $3,000 to send officers to Florida to pick up an inmate, where we can do that for $885. So that's what we do.
So thank you. So we're not losing any of our present sheriff officers, our FTEs, or our present complement of officers. We're not outsourcing anything. Okay, thank you. I want to clarify that. Thank you.
Any further discussion on 2, 5, or 6? Hearing none, we'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Freeholder Donnelly.
Thank you, Director. This time I move for adoption of resolution number 10.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Freeholder Howard.
Thank you, Director. At this time, I would like to move for unanimous consent the resolutions number 11, 12, and 13.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Howard, second by Freeholder Donnelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Freeholder Schwartz.
This time, I'd like to move for unanimous consent, items number 14, 15, and 16.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Freeholder Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we have the need to fill the position of treasurer. Nomination and election of the treasurer is for a 3-year term.
Madam Director, it would be my pleasure and privilege to nominate Edward Troy to continue on with the county in his role as county treasurer for an additional 3-year term.
I'd like to second that.
Okay. Hearing no other nominations, we'll close that, and I believe we do this by roll call vote.
Vote by
Correct.
name.
But vote by name.
Okay.
Freeholder Donnelly.
Mr. Troy,
Freeholder Howard.
Mr. Troy.
Freeholder Schwartz.
Edward Troy.
Director Order.
Mr. Troy. Congratulations, Mr. Troy. Okay, at this time, we are open to questions from the press.
I don't have any right now.
Okay.
I do. My questions are.
And you are, gentleman, sir?
Henry with the Trentonians. My questions are in regards to the death of Robert Taylor and Jerome Iota in Burlington County Jail in the last few months. I'm hearing conflicting reports from the prosecutor's office as well as from somebody else, other people who were in charge. I believe the freeholders, Eric Arford,
Eric Arbert is our public information officer.
Right. He tells me that the investigation is done, that the investigation on part of the prosecutor's office is complete. However, I hear from prosecutors that the investigations at the jail are not complete. I'd like clarification on that, and I'm wondering if the investigations at the jail are not complete, how come the prosecutor's investigation is?
I'm hearing two questions. You're asking about an internal investigation at the jail.
Right. Is that
And you're, okay, you're asking, is there an internal investigation at the jail? And
Yes.
then you are asking, is the prosecutor's investigation complete?
Yes.
Okay,
May I?
yes.
Yeah, my understanding, the prosecutor's office investigation is complete. The jail, my understanding is, tends to investigate everything every time an event occurs there to make sure they're following best demonstrated practices in terms of correction. So I am confident that the jail is continuing to self-evaluate in each and every situation.
So does that mean that there is a continuing investigation right now at the jail by the jail internal affairs?
Not to my knowledge.
Can Warden Arden comment on that?
No, you direct your
You
questions to the
direct your
board.
questions to the board.
So am I understanding correct that investigation is complete right now on both ends? No IA investigation and no prosecutor's investigation?
Prosecutor's investigation is closed. To the best of my knowledge, there is no IA investigation at the jail right now.
We have a copy of the prosecutor's investigative report, and I'm sure our public information officer will be able to get you a copy of that this evening.
Great, thank you very much. I have another question, unless somebody else wants to go.
This is press time.
Sure.
Okay.
And understandable, I am not a correction officer, you know that. And I've been talking to PBA and talking to other officers and trying to read the 10A and trying to understand things. But from what people are telling me, that administrative hold or administrative segregation in county facilities is illegal. And I'm wondering if that's the case, and if it is, how come Sean was thrown in an administrative hold after he came out of after he came out of segregation the first time?
First, I don't know who Sean is.
Mr. Trzanski right behind me.
Okay. Mr. Nelson.
At this point in time, I mean, you're telling me that you hear something is illegal. I've not had the opportunity to review your specific question. I'll certainly look into that. But at this point in time, I'm going to comment to say that something is or something is not improper, although based on my day-to-day workings, the jail appears to be doing things as directed, appears to be doing things appropriately, and appears to be following the law.
Who could I follow up with later to find out exactly what the 10A says about administrative hold?
The County Administrator's Office, Mr. Drayton. Mr. Drayton, would you identify yourself? Raise your hand.
And his name is again, and I would follow up with his office?
With his
You'll
office.
follow up, right.
You'll likely hear from Mr. Arpert, though. It's
Right.
Mr. Drayton is his name.
Thank you. Lastly then, I have jailhouse letters from Mr. Jerome Iota, who says that when he was in the jail, he complained multiple times to staff there that he had problems with the pacemaker that was just put to his heart when he was arrested and put in jail. I hear that he was never taken back for readjustment in the time that he was in jail, and I have letters that said he complained and no one took him back. Do you guys know of that, and are you investigating that and have, or anything of that nature?
I'm not aware of it. Mr. Nelson?
I'm not aware of it myself, and your comments will be taken, you know, I'm taking notes here, and we'll certainly pass those along to the appropriate folks.
Thank you. I'm done for now.
You're done? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from the press? Okay, at this time, we open to public comment. And again, please remember to state your name and address for the record, and we will start with those who have signed in, and that is beginning with Mr. Milanes. Good evening, Mr. Milanes. Please remember to state your name and address for the record.
Agencio Milanes, West Hampton Township, 604 Fort Drive. First, congratulations to the freeholders for the good job that they're doing, especially with the land, you buying the land, and that's why I'm here tonight. I'd like to make an old soldier home, and I'd like one of these properties that you have, maybe I can get maybe half an acre of land, then I can build it here. Prior to there, for my people, and I say my people that was in the war. I really appreciate it. If you can do something for me, and for my people, thank you. And at the same time, I'm inviting the freeholders and all the people here that want to come to our place in BSW, have a glass of wine. You're welcome anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank you,
Milanes.
Milanes. Mr. Price?
Good evening, Madam Freeholder and members of the Freeholder Board. I had to sit on this side. You know, after sitting out here for 25 years and you sitting up here, I had to feel what it felt like.
Do you feel any different?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I wanted to share with you tonight about an event we're holding in Hainesport on the 31st of March. Back in the summertime when the sequester was threatening to disrupt our country in a very big time way, I came to the clergy meeting in September and said, I'm concerned about what elected officials are doing and not realizing perhaps the impact in the community and the neighborhoods that we serve. We discussed that over the next couple of months and decided that it would be appropriate for our clergy association, the Rancocas Valley Clergy Association, to sponsor a forum for residents to come and address elected officials from the municipal, county, state, and federal levels about the things that were happening in our communities that they were deeply concerned about. We felt it was appropriate as a group of clergy to foster civic dialogue about values, about issues, about problems, about concerns. So I sent a letter out on behalf of the clergy in January and didn't get much response. I sent a letter out in February and I've got like 6 people coming. And I'm concerned that the civic leaders who we've elected to represent us aren't wanting to hear from us. I have a copy for you of the letter I sent to Freeholder Schwartz, and you'll understand as I changed the names, I started with you, Madam Freeholder, and moved up the alphabet. So this is the last one on my computer. But it describes an event that we're going to host at the Christian Faith Assembly, which is on Route 537. We're inviting elected officials to come and sit and listen to concerned citizens, share their stories, share their concerns, share the things that matter to them. Because what happens at the federal level rolls down to the state, as you well know, it rolls down to the county, and it rolls down to municipalities, and vice versa. It rolls up from the towns to the county, to the state, and to the federal government. And we think elected officials at all levels should be listening to the concerns and figuring out how we can begin to respond to those and make this a better world for ourselves and our children. So we picked a 5th Monday of the month, which should not have any regularly scheduled meetings. Not the 2nd Tuesday, the 3rd Wednesday, or whatever. So we thought it was a night that lots of people would be available. And I hope that you find it to be such that it would move you to come, even at this late notice. If you didn't get this letter, you're getting a personal invitation tonight. We expect to have 400 people. It'll be a shame if we have 5 or 6 elected officials sitting up in front. We didn't want to have it before the election, so it wouldn't be construed as a election gambit on our part to promote or to whatever would be the effect of the November election. But we think it's important for people after the election to say, what's happening in our world? And how are the decisions that we make at any level having an impact on the people we serve? And let's hear their stories. Let's hear your experiences. Let's hear your concerns. What are the problems? What are the issues? So we expect in 2 hours to have a lively dialogue. I'll only be moderating 30 minutes of it. Other clergy will moderate the other 30 minutes, so it'll be a multiple party event. And I hope that you're there, because I think there's going to be a lot said that needs to be heard. So I thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bracy.
What a great opportunity to follow Ken Pike. Renowned homeless advocate since the early 70s when Burlington County had the first 10 cities. I actually ran for office. I actually ran on a platform. Somehow didn't get on the ballot 2 times. My primary issue was to secure a 24/7 homeless shelter in Burlington County. I've been working on this since the mid-'80s. I've housed a homeless family for 7 years. I housed a homeless ex-Marine Corps veteran that served proudly during the Iraq War for about a month. All out of personal expense. I've worked closely with homeless families since the mid-'80s in any way I could to provide hope and opportunity. What troubles me deeply is I came to this body with a proposal through a coalition I'm honored to serve with Ken on, citizens serving the homeless. I presented to the former Freeholder Director Gargano and Freeholder Donnelly, you know that, because you weren't aboard at the time. In fact, they even sent a copy to you, sir. A proposal that is exactly what this wonderful coalition that are nonprofit folks that care about the folks that no one else cares about, like Robert Taylor from Riverside, 70 years old. I am hopeful that this body conducts an independent investigation based on his death. I've devoted my lifetime working with the said population, and I can tell you there were enough red flags that went out that justified removal from that county jail and placement in a psychiatric program. But if we had had what the citizens serving the homeless proposed to this board over 5 years ago, he would be alive today, or the probability of him living today would be a reality. So what I'm hoping, you're going to hear a lot about this over the next few months. What I'm hoping is to follow up with what Reverend Ken Pipes has said since, and he's been a tireless advocate for the homeless since the 70s, that this board submit a letter to the Lumberton Township Municipal Council supporting the concept of citizens serving the homeless. I'm not getting any money for this. Kent runs a nonprofit program. Madeline Mears, Shelton, and Kent Pipes, coupled with Reverend Jost. In case you don't know this, legislative leaders are national figures with the homeless. So I think it's high time. I have addressed this board many times over and dealt with your abuse on this matter, and have been steadfast, and I will not stop. I made a promise to you. I will not stop until there is a safe haven, a 24/7, 365, which is currently being proposed by the citizens, which consists of people like me and clergy in Burlington County that care about people that fall between the cracks and are homeless, like Robert Taylor, who is 70 years old, an alcoholic, and a homeless gentleman from Riverside, and he didn't even have the dignity of a dignified death. Quite frankly, legislative leaders, the report that was filed by your prosecutor's office is a sham and insulting. An independent investigation is in order. I've worked in the field of mental health. I've worked with the very populations. I've dealt with Robert Taylor's. There were other ways that he could have been handled during a period of incarceration, and he is now dead. But you know what? Had you, as a legislative body, accepted what I presented to you over 5 years ago, which is the exact same proposal that the citizens serving the homeless
Paul, you're
has
five. You're
presented.
5
I
minutes.
hope, and I thank you,
Thank you.
you function as elected legislative people. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yes. My name is Sean C. Trzanski, 107 East Woodlawn Ave, Maple Shade, New Jersey. Good evening, freeholders. I stand before you in place of those who no longer have a voice, Mr. Robert Taylor and Jerome Iozia. I was placed in a dungeon for over a month for writing this letter, and I wanted to personally hand each of you a copy. Everything written here should be validated by the logbooks, video cameras, on both CO and nursing staff's testimony, but sadly enough, we know that's not the case. Both the prosecutor's office, in addition to the warden, Lawrence Artis, and other higher-ranking COs are trying to cover up what really happened in order to protect themselves and their own. I urge you to come forth and not partake in this behavior, and to step on the righteous side and hold those previously mentioned accountable. I thank you for your time.
The Sheriff's Officer, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Trzanski, while I appreciate your remarks, it's important for everyone to note that the prosecutor's office has read your letter. They've interviewed you and thoroughly discredited your allegations. In the report, they make it clear that your allegations were rife with inconsistencies and contradicted by physical and photographic evidence. Their report goes on to outline the treatment that Mr. Taylor received while in the jail, providing drastically different details, facts, than your versions of events. A letter outlining the prosecutor's findings and discrediting Mr. Trzanski. No,
Sir.
you're done, Sarah.
You need to be seated.
It's available tonight. We'll present it to anyone that's interested in having it.
I've already read it.
Sir, you're done.
He speaks, you sit.
You had your opportunity.
You had your time. You're done. That's all I have on it.
Any further public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jasmine Rodriguez, and I live at 207 Paiute Trail, Browns Mills, New Jersey. I am Jerome Iozia's fiance. And what Sean is speaking about, I have letters from Jerome stating the same stuff. I have his disciplinary reports from when he was placed in segregation for an altercation with Sean. I have those in my possession. So discrediting Sean's testimony and his letter, not a good situation. I have the originals. And everything that Sean said, according to my fiance, is the same, and they were not in the same cell. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we will close this portion of the meeting to public comment, and we move on to freeholder comments. And I am going to, with my freeholders' permission, step away from normal procedure and make my comments first this evening. So, first of all, I'd just like to, I generally don't read my comments, but this evening I will. It's no secret that throughout my career, I've taken particular interest in workforce development and the issues associated with businesses and job seekers alike. As I have considered my future, I became aware of an opportunity within the Burlington County College as Director of Development. I interviewed for the position and it has been offered to me. This is a position for which my skills and experience are uniquely matched and one which will allow me to continue to serve the public. It has been a true honor to serve the people of Burlington County, and I am proud of what we have been able to accomplish over the last 3 years. We have worked across the aisle to govern responsibly. Together, we have cut government spending, held the line on taxes, and continued to provide first-rate services to our citizens, our residents. It is therefore with a heavy heart, but an eye to the future, that I submit my resignation from the Board of Chosen Freeholders, effective at the close of the Board of Chosen Freeholders public meeting on March 12th, 2014. It has been a pleasure to serve with all of you, and I will always be thankful for this opportunity. Thank you. Down. Sit down. Thank you. Thank you. So now that you've totally thrown me off my game, I believe we go to Freeholder Schwartz next.
I'd like to congratulate Freeholder Arter on her new position. I'm sure she will be an excellent Director of Development.
Yes.
And will bring honor and kudos to the job. I wish her well, and I think the college is very fortunate in getting her in this position.
Thank you.
I'd also like to add that I will be attending the meeting on the 31st for Mr. Pipes. And also I wanted to note that I have attended a couple of the meetings of the Rancocas Valley Clergy Association, and I know they are actively moving ahead to see if they could come up with a facility for the homeless, and I commend them on that.
Freeholder Donley.
Thank you. Very briefly, Director, congratulations. It will be a loss to this board. It will be a loss to the residents of Burlington County because you have worked hard. You've worked, in my expression, you brought it up in conference, you've worked to move the ball forward. And I think we have done that here, and I think we continue to do that. It's important for us to be mindful of the fact that we are only temporary caretakers while we are here. It is, in fact, our staff that runs the county from day to day, but we are here to provide that guidance, and I appreciated the guidance that you provided, the leadership that you provided while you were here. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Freeholder Howell.
Well, it's a difficult evening. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. And when you lose a partner that you've been with for 3 years, you have mixed emotions. And I'm going to miss our lively discussions, our laughing, hanging out with the kids, knocking door to door, going to events. And what Joe Donnelly said is from the heart. Because if there's anybody that worked harder than anybody else, it's Leah. I mean, you have to overcome a lot. In my estimation, she overcomes everything. She's a true inspiration to young ladies out there who want to get involved in serving their community. She's an inspiration to people that she's going to be working with at the college. And she'll always be an inspiration for us here on the board. So with that, congratulations moving forward. And please continue to move the ball forward over at BCC. On a lighter note, I have a couple of things to pass on. I had the privilege on Saturday to attend the ribbon cutting for Springside Housing Project over in Burlington Township. And with the help of many, many people, Burlington County Freeholders is one. It opens its doors, has 74 units housing senior citizens. I believe all but 4 units at this point in time are rented out. And when you take a look at these projects, it's not the end all to be all, but it is sure a great way to start to end homelessness here in Burlington County. I commend the people that ran that project. I commend the Burlington Township Council for all their understanding, for all their help, and everybody else along the way. It was a moving morning, to say the least, especially topped off by a 93-year-old gentleman who went to elementary school there in 1929. And his pictures grace the wall downstairs, so he was a pleasure to speak to.
Was that Phil Haynes? Because he went there.
He'll be so glad to hear.
Don't tell him I said that.
I just hope you never show up in his court. A couple of announcements on some things that are happening. On March the 31st, we have a Human Services event. Outstanding Women of Burlington County is going to be held at the Marion.
March 27th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. March 27th.
Takes a woman. A woman would have gotten it right.
She's sorely missed. She dotted many of my I's and crossed my T's, believe me. In my house, so she's also known as my fourth wife.
Right, we don't have to talk about
that. Anyway, so that's going to be on March 27th. It's going to be held at the Marion. For people that want tickets, you can contact this number, 609-265-3129. It starts at 5:30. It's a great event. We went last year, and you'll be amazed at the women of Burlington County that are going to be represented that night. Also, I'm really happy and excited to let you know that the Burlington County Board of Chosen Freeholders and our own Anna Pazzo is involved with youth development initiatives, which is called Challenge Day at Willingboro High School. Happened yesterday, it happened today, and it'll happen tomorrow. And pretty much it goes from 7 to 3. It's a bunch of things that go on during the day, combats things like bullying, talks about family initiatives, really brings the kids that are in that school together with their families, which down the road, hopefully, could cause anybody from having problems. So, Anna, my hat's off to you. Have a good time tomorrow getting involved in that. And Building Bridges Resource Day, March 29th at the Kennedy Center in Willingboro, sponsored by Faith in Action. And again, it is a family-run organization. It's a family-run focus on families that are in Burlington County and in the area. So if anybody wants to attend those, it would be greatly appreciated. And that's all I have. Director?
Okay, at this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Howard, seconded by Freeholder Schwartz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night. Enjoy your evening.